Well, after I don't even know what to call it, a recap week, I guess. Last week, where we got a 1 hour little filler recap panel type episode, we are back to our regularly scheduled episode. I was thinking about doing a video on their little recap last week, but honestly, I checked out of that thing pretty darn early. These couples are exactly who we think they are, and a little look down memory lane just didn't do it for me. Also, another thing I want to talk about before we jump into our couples for the week is once again, we've got two grown men going and playing catch with each other. Is this more common than I think it is? Like, is this what people are doing? Like, if I want to go get advice from one of my friends, do I need to go grab a football or a baseball and a couple baseball gloves and go talk about everything that's happening in our lives? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it just seems so awkward, Steve and Mark throwing that ball on the beach and sharing their feelings about what's happening in their lives. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's jump into our couples. As always, we'll go through our couples one at a time. And no, we're not going to wait for the big juicy couples till the end of the video. Let's get into the mess right off the bat. I don't know where to start this week. Do we start with Katina and Isaac, or do we start with Lindsay and Mark? I was planning on starting at Katina and Isaac, so let's just start there. Right off the bat, we have Katina wondering if Isaac is gonna Isaac again. And you know what? We all know the answer, Katina. Maybe you're pretending you don't know the answer, but we all know the answer, that he's gonna pull this same BS again at some point. Maybe he can have a good wave here and survive till decision day, but at some point after that, he is going to have an Isaac flare up and bring your relationship back down to earth. The start of the episode, we were seeing that Isaac had completely broken Katina down, like absolutely destroyed her. Like, we see Jasmina even pointing out, like, whoa, like this is not my friend. This is like a shattered fragment of my friend. And I kind of felt bad for Jasmina and Michael having to be the mediators in this dispute. Michael having to go and talk to Isaac after Katina comes down to basically just get away from him. Comes down to their apartment just to escape this man. And Michael's got to go in there and try to have a conversation with him. And, shockingly, Isaac is still blaming Katina 100% for everything and not accepting any reality other than the one he's created in his head. He can be mad about finding the app. Absolutely, totally justified that he can be mad about finding that app. But for him to not even listen to his wife for 1 second and just automatically assume the worst case scenario and no other scenario being possible, just ridiculous to me. Even when we see other people like hear the story, and whether it's from Katina or Isaac, and like, oh, he found a dating app on my phone, and they're like, uh-oh, and then Katina's like, a dating app that I haven't used for months. And you open it up and like the login's not even there. Like it's not logged in or anything. And then they're like, oh, like, yeah, like it was a little silly for you to keep that on your phone, but whatever. That's something that you shouldn't have it on your phone, but if it's there, like I can name you all the apps on my phone. I don't have any dating apps on my phone, but like I don't know what's on there. I don't go through and delete everything that I don't use anymore. Who cares? like, and that's probably what happened here to Katina. And Issac just wouldn't even think for a moment that it was anything other than her being disrespectful to him, her cheating on him, her stepping outside the marriage, and that's not okay. We come back to the couple like the next morning, and all of a sudden they've just swept this problem under the rug and they're carrying on with the relationship when I really do not think that that should be the case. Like, it's not okay that Issac behaved the way that he did. It is not okay. Like, under no circumstances is that okay. Issac, he wants conflict with Katina. We've seen it all season long. Issac taking Katina to the gym. Issac and Katina horseback riding. The dinner party. Like, think about how he brought that all up. He brought that up in the most confrontational way possible. Absolutely the most confrontational way. He wanted to embarrass her in front of everybody. He wanted to make her look bad in front of everybody. And like, he wants that conflict. And his conversation with Coach Mac very, very, very much illuminated that to me, because he was, I don't remember the exact line, but it was something along the lines of like, we finally butted heads, or like, we finally had a confrontation. And that tells me that he was seeking that out, and that's not good behavior. Also, Coach Mac, you are not given good advice. Anger might be useful in sports, but it is not in a relationship. If you love and care about someone, getting angry at them all the time is extremely unhealthy and ultimately will lead to the end of the relationship. That's where we're going to stop for Katina and Issac. It just doesn't look good for them. And I just really can't see a world or a scenario where Katina should say yes on decision day. All right, let's go. I'll jump over to our second headline couple of the week, and that is Lindsay and Mark. Before we get into the dirty nasty, we gotta go and check in on Mark's wonderful food adventures as he's exploring the wide world of all the culinary delights available out there. And this week, he's apparently trying carrots and broccoli for the first time. We started out with those tacos and then sushi, and now he's really going wild trying out carrots. All joking aside, this was not a good week for these two, and to me, painted a pretty clear picture of the eventual end of this relationship. Well, no, but we got one more ridiculous moment that I just forgot about. That I looked down at my notes. If you're in a grocery store, don't be a Lindsay and don't eat random vegetables while you're in the store. That's not cool. Like, that's not okay. Especially when we're on like the tail end of a pandemic. No, you should not be grabbing random pieces of fruits and vegetables in a store and taking bites out of them. Hopefully she bought that cob of corn. And why a cob of corn? Of all the things in the store, like you could take a bite of an apple. You could take a bite of one of those exotic carrots. Why are you taking a bite from a cob of corn? No one does that. Like, not only is it not okay to just be chomping on random food in a grocery store, you're chomping on one that you shouldn't be eating raw anyways. Like, what on earth? Yeah, whatever. Okay, now, probably most joking aside, let's get into this actual disaster of a relationship. It seems that Lindsay has been tipped over the edge, And the final straw, Mark put Lindsay's clothes in the dryer and destroyed $250 worth of her clothes. I don't even know where I stand on this. Like, I very much make a point, like, I don't wash anything that I've not been explicitly told to wash. You know, my wife and I, we do all our own laundry. The majority of the time. There are exceptions to that. If I ask her to do some laundry for me, or she asks me to do some laundry for her, I will do it, and vice versa, and I will do it exactly as she asks. If everything has to be hung to dry, you can be damn sure everything is going to be hung to dry, because I know what it's like to have people ruin your clothes, and it's not good. Like, it's not something you're happy about, but not a relationship ender. Really, really not a relationship ender. It can be one little step in the end of a relationship, but that should not be a relationship. You know, we went from Lindsay having her selfie tirade about Mark to kind of just, it was almost like a period of time we just kind of ignored that had happened, and we're just like waiting for the episode to get to the point where Lindsay and Mark were going to have another blow up. In the meantime, we got to see Mark meet with Erika, his friend, and like, I don't know if anybody else was thinking this, but as soon as they sat down together, I was like, hey, this is a good couple. These two, this is a way better couple than Mark and Lindsay. Like, I'm on Team Erika. Like, I've never been on Team Lindsay. I don't think anyone watching the show is out there rooting for Lindsay. But you know, after that one little scene, I'm cheering for Erika. There's probably, like, we didn't get the whole story. Like, is she married or what? But you know, I'm on Team Mark and Erika, and I hope that we get to the reunion show and it's Mark and Erika together and they living happily ever after. After that, we finally get to the confrontation. And you know, Lindsay has for some reason planned this cat photo shoot night. Okay, maybe there's going to be a little more joking about these two before we get to the end here. There's this cat photo shoot night, while she has come to the conclusion that Mark has gone too far and crossed the line, shattered the boundaries, and this relationship is headed to a divorce. And, you know, she's trying to have this like civil night to get through the photo shoot and just have the fight later. And Mark kind of starts talking about things, and it's very clear Lindsay's not listening to him. Like, not even a little bit. Like, not a single word. And just blows past everything and starts saying how he won't take accountability for anything. Like, that's not, for one, that's not even like the route that Mark was headed down. You know, Mark's basically wants to talk about their communication and how their communication's been poor, and what a great time to point out an example of their communication being very poor. While Lindsay just 100% not even listening to him. And then we had that voiceover, and it was like Lindsay talking about how closed off Mark is as she closes off from him. And it was like, this can't be real. Like, how do you get these sound bites to perfectly contradict these moments? Absolutely amazing. And, you know, for once out of the whole season, you know, bravo to the production team for putting that little scene together, because it was incredible. And then, like, yeah, Lindsay walks out. The photo shoot, the photographer shows up. Mark's just like, well, whatever, I'm doing the photo shoot. Lindsay, she shows back up, and I'm thinking, and like says like, hey, we're done. like starts packing her stuff up. And Mark, he should be jumping for joy. Mark should absolutely be jumping for joy in this moment. Like, hey, she's checking out. Like, Mark, your life is going to get so much better the moment that she's no longer part of it. Like, it's like an instantaneous improvement in the quality of your life. And, you know, like we're just seeing Lindsay just constantly looking down on Mark, constantly thinking she's better, you know, constantly Lindsay on the high ground. And to me, like, that's not a partnership. That's not a marriage. And for some reason, Mark asked her to stay for the photo shoot. Asked her to stay for the photo shoot, and she just, like, whatever, asked the photographer, what, can you help me pick out an outfit? Picks out an outfit, and they just carry on with the photo shoot like it never happened. And like, okay, we're done all that. Let's get back to joking about this couple already. Don't do a photo shoot with your cats. Just don't. Like, cats, like, I have no idea how they got all those animals, all those cats to stay on that couch. The cats in the shark suits seemed like they were paralyzed with fear and couldn't move. Maybe that's the strategy. If you want to do a photo shoot with your cat, put some sort of ridiculous costume on it so the cat just can't even move, just sits there. Absolutely ridiculous. I was actively trying to convince a cat to come over here during that segment. I almost got one because I thought that would have been perfect. Have a cat with me while talking about the cat photo shoot. All right, next couple, Noy and Steve. Things were kind of okay with them last week. And I don't know what the hell is going on here now. Like, start to finish, I don't think we saw like a positive note from this couple this week. We started out with a little bit of the dog stuff, and you know, Steve's been great with Sushi. I think we can all agree with that. You know, came in not a dog person, and it really seems like he's been very accommodating to Noy and Sushi and everything, been doing his part to take care of Sushi, but Noy is like starts talking about how a pet is a good test run for finding out if he's going to be a good parent. And I 1000% disagree with this. Like, I don't think that you should ever have this mindset. You want to see if somebody's going to be good with kids? You know what's a great resource? Kids. Like, people have kids. Like, tons of people have kids. Like, I'm sure there's people watching this right now that have kids. And you know what's a great test run to see if you're going to be good with kids? Be around kids. Take your partner to a situation where they're going to have to take care of a kid, interact with a kid, anything. One of your friends has a baby, you know, tell them, hey, we'll look after the baby for a couple hours so you guys can go and have a date night. You know what? See if he'll change a diaper. See if he can hold a baby. Because some people can't. Some people like see a baby and their body just quits working. Like, they don't know what to do. No, it's just a baby, everybody. You just grab it, you put it in your arms. It goes to the bathroom a little bit, poops a little bit. You just go, you change the diaper. It's not that big of a deal. But you know what? Some people can't do that. Meanwhile, they're great with a dog. They're great with a cat who you gotta pour some food out for. You gotta change the litter every once in a while. Yeah, cat, you gotta check in on a cat once a day. That should not be the test run for having a kid. Anyways, way off on a tangent there. That was pretty much unrelated. In case you forgot, we're apparently talking about Noy and Steve. And let's get into things a little deeper. So we have the scene where Mark and Steve are playing catch. And Steve says that, one, he has a lot of money saved up and is contributing I think he said 4 times more money to their expenses than Noy. And I'm thinking, that's mighty interesting. All this talk about money, 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 and Noy's working, Steve's not, Steve doesn't have a plan, blah, blah, blah. And yet he's paying for more things than Noy, assuming that we believe that Steve is telling the truth, which I'm inclined to do. I don't know why he would lie about this. And on top of that, Steve is slowly starting to realize that Noy just wants him to have a 9-to-5 job, period. And like at the end of that conversation, one thing that really was sticking in my mind was that you should try to be with someone who is going to support you and believe in you. And I do not believe that Noy does either of those things for Steve. Not in the least. She really thinks that she's better than Steve just because she has a job. And then we come to Noy not wanting to move in after decision day. And, alarm bells just start going off in my head saying, that screams to me that she's planning on saying no on decision day. She goes further and starts talking about that, oh yeah, there's all sorts of married couples who don't live together. And I'm sitting there like, what? I've heard of people, traveling for work, but not two married people just living in separate apartments. That just doesn't seem right to me. And that should be a major red flag for Steve. Absolutely. And then we see the scene with Noy and Sriracha, and Noy claiming that she does all the housework. And I was kind of thinking, like, have we seen that? Like, the only time we saw her cook was Noodlegate, where she cooked dinner for herself and just left Steve's to boil and be ruined. That was her contribution to the cooking. Every other time we've seen, it's been Steve cooking for Noy. Them talking about the chores, and basically Noy being like, no, I'm not going to contribute. No, I'm not going to clean a bathroom. We're not splitting that. No, we're not. I'm not doing all of Sushi's responsibilities. Like, that's what we saw. And I don't think that Noy was being very realistic while talking with Sriracha, and just kind of get the overall feeling that Noy is married but has one foot out the door. We also got that Instagram post of Noy posting to everyone, the moment you think you deserve better, you do. And how is Steve not supposed to think that's about him? That's a 100% relationship quote. Absolutely. That is about your relationship. If I go and post that on social media right now, my wife's not happy with me immediately, because that's not something that you post when you are committed in a relationship, period. All right, let's move on from Noy and Steve. 3 more weeks, 20 more days, and they will be getting a nice little divorce for ourselves. And our last couple of the night, Jasmina and Michael. First off, Michael was going to town on those dog treats. And, I thought it was hilarious because I remember when I was a young man, just of legal drinking age, and one of my friends passing out at another friend's house, getting up in the morning and apologizing because he ate all their pepperoni. He said, I got home from the bar last night, I was hungry, I saw the pepperoni sitting on the counter, and I went to town on him. And the other guy being like, man, like, we don't have any pepperoni. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we don't have any pepperoni. And they went and found the package. And it turns out it was pupperoni, a nice little treat for your puppy dogs. So, you know, maybe those dog treats aren't that bad. Enough about that. Let's jump into Michael teaching Jasmina how to drive. First off, I think that this is a great gesture by Michael. You know, it's something they can do together. You know, something that maybe she knows that she probably should do, but is a little apprehensive to do. And I just really enjoyed this whole little storyline of Michael teaching Jasmina to drive. Michael, I really liked your quiz. I don't think that quiz was actually helpful. It was like, all right, to get into a car, what are you going to use? The door? Just, wow, you knew that one? Thought I was going to stump you on that one. When you're turning, you should slow down. Yeah, you should slow down. Yeah, no crap. Like, these are the most obvious things. And then when they actually got into the driving, I thought it was going to be way worse than it was. And I'll say, like, there was obviously some pretty rough moments of an inexperienced driver, but Jasmina did quite well for someone who is, you know, not an experienced driver, and also on top of that, very apprehensive about being behind the wheel. Jasmina tells her mom that she does not have any feelings for Michael. I think that we can kind of see that, and you know, really from what we saw from Michael, like, he also knows that as well. He's trying to do his best, trying to win her over, but it is a very, very, very slow process. From their conversations, I think Michael talked with his sister, Jasmina talked with her mom. I felt they were both very realistic about the relationship. I don't think any other of the couples was as realistic as these two. And really, we're at a point where this feels like the only couple that actually enjoys being around each other. I don't feel like the other three, like Noy and Steve, they don't enjoy, like you saw, like they're playful with each other, but like like that conversation with the camera in the living room, like that's not two people who enjoy being around each other. Lindsay and Mark, they just fight all the time. That's not two people who enjoy being around each other. Katina and Isaac, you know, I don't know what the hell that abusive relationship is doing on our TV screens, but definitely not two people who enjoy being around each other. And then we had the little cooking moment, which was kind of sweet. And then they got to the end of it, and I could have sworn that Michael said that he felt Jasmina wasn't giving 100% earlier in the relationship. And I was sitting there, I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be a huge fight. Before he proceeded to explain that he said that you know, maybe he kind of had a turning point where he was trying to find things to blame everything on, instead of saying, you know, what can I do better? What can I do more to further their relationship? So yeah, let's slap an end to this recap right there. Weird week. Feels like we have three couples definitely headed to disaster. One couple that is probably just headed towards a friendship. You know, we're looking at a pretty likely 0 for 5 unless we get some silliness right before decision day. But we'll wrap things up for this week. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, we will see you later.